My child, listen to me with a heart that is still and willing, for I am not speaking to frighten you, nor to shame you, but to preserve you. I see what you do not see. I know what lies ahead on the road you are walking, even while you believe you are in control. You think you have time, that tomorrow will always come as it has before, but I am telling you now because the window to change is narrowing. I do not warn without reason, and I do not speak without love. I formed you with intention. Before your breath entered your lungs, I knew your name, your weaknesses, your strengths, and the destiny I placed within you. Nothing about you is accidental, yet you have been careless with what I entrusted to you. You have ignored the quiet checks in your spirit, dismissed the gentle nudges, and reasoned away my voice by calling it coincidence, stress, or imagination. Still, I have remained patient, watching, waiting, calling. What is coming is not random. It is the harvest of patterns you have allowed to grow unchecked. You have pushed your body beyond what it was designed to endure, neglected rest, ignored wisdom, and carried burdens you were never meant to carry alone. You have convinced yourself that endurance is strength, but wisdom is knowing when to stop. I see the strain beneath your smiles, the exhaustion you hide, and the damage forming long before symptoms appear. You tell yourself you will slow down later. You promise yourself change when things calm down, when obligations ease, when circumstances improve. But later has become a hiding place for disobedience. Calm never comes when you keep choosing what drains you. Improvement never arrives when you refuse to release what is harming you. You are running on borrowed strength, and it will not sustain you much longer. I am not against your ambition, your work, or your desire to provide and succeed. I am against anything that replaces me, anything that demands what only I should receive, anything that consumes you while convincing you it is necessary. You have made agreements with pressure and called them responsibility. You have allowed fear to drive your decisions while telling yourself you are being practical. But fear always demands more, and it never tells you when enough is enough. There are habits you have normalized that are slowly weakening you. There are choices you justify because they seem small, but repeated neglect becomes a serious wound. What you dismiss today becomes tomorrow's crisis. What you overlook now will demand attention later, and it will not ask politely. I am warning you because I would rather interrupt you now than see you confined later. You have ignored signs because acknowledging them would require change. You have silenced discomfort with distraction. You have treated your body as if it were separate from your spirit, forgetting that I created you as one. When one suffers, all suffer. When one is neglected, all are affected. I do not separate what I have joined. I am calling you to pause, to reassess, to surrender control where you have clenched it too tightly. There are relationships draining you that I did not ask you to maintain in their current form. There are environments you remain in out of familiarity, not obedience. There are patterns of thinking that keep you anxious, restless, and unsettled. Yet you return to them because they feel familiar. Familiar does not mean safe. You have been warned before, gently, quietly, through moments of discomfort, interrupted plans, unexplained fatigue, and inner unrest. Each time, I hoped you would listen. Each time you adjusted just enough to continue, but not enough to heal. Partial obedience brings temporary relief, not lasting protection. I am not speaking to condemn you. I am speaking to rescue you. I am trying to pull you back before the fall becomes unavoidable. There is still time, but time alone will not save you. Change will. Humility will. Trust will. You must learn to say no without guilt, to rest without apology, to seek help without shame. You were never meant to carry everything yourself. That belief has cost you more than you realize. Pride does not always look like arrogance. Sometimes it looks like refusing to stop, refusing to ask, refusing to admit you are overwhelmed. But I resist pride because it separates you from the help I am trying to give. If you continue as you are, your body will demand what you refuse to offer willingly. It will force stillness where you rejected rest. It will require attention where you dismissed care. That is why I am speaking now. I would rather you choose obedience than be compelled by crisis. Do not mistake my warning for abandonment. If I did not care, I would let you continue without interruption. Discipline is proof of love, not rejection. Correction is evidence that you are mine. I speak because your life matters, your future matters, and there is more ahead for you than a hospital room and regret-filled prayers. I have plans that require you whole, present, and alive. There are people connected to your obedience, blessings tied to your health, assignments that cannot be fulfilled from a place of constant depletion. The enemy does not need to destroy you outright when he can exhaust you slowly. Weariness makes you vulnerable. Neglect makes you careless. And carelessness opens doors you never intended to open. I am asking you now, will you trust me enough to change? Will you believe that obedience will not cost you what you fear losing? Will you release the illusion that everything depends on you? It does not. I am more capable than you allow me to be in your life. Let go of what I have been telling you to release. Adjust what I have been prompting you to adjust. Seek wisdom where you have relied solely on instinct. Honor your limits instead of resenting them. They are not flaws, they are protection. I am not asking you to abandon your responsibilities, but to reorder them. Put me first, not in words, but in decisions. When you align with me, peace follows. When you resist me, strain increases. This is not punishment. It is principle. You have been living in survival mode, calling it strength. But I created you for more than survival. I created you for abundance, for peace, for purpose that does not require self-destruction. You do not have to suffer to be worthy. You do not have to break to prove your value. Hear me now while you still can choose. Do not wait for pain to become your teacher. Do not let regret become your wake-up call. I am offering you wisdom ahead of sorrow, correction ahead of consequence, and mercy ahead of judgment. Turn now. Slow down now. Listen now. What I am asking of you is far lighter than what will be required if you refuse. I am your Father, and I desire your life, not your tears. I desire your obedience, not your apologies. I desire your trust, not your fear. My child, understand this truth with clarity and humility. My warnings are not casual words spoken into the air, nor are they emotional reactions that fade with time. When I speak, it is because I see the end from the beginning, and I know what paths lead to life, and which quietly lead to destruction. To take my warning for granted is to misunderstand who I am, and to misjudge the seriousness of what I reveal. I do not warn to control you, and I do not warn to burden you. I warn because love that sees danger and stays silent is not love at all. Many before you have heard me speak and assumed there would always be another moment to respond. They believed delay was harmless, that obedience could be postponed without cost. They mistook my patience for permission and my mercy for indifference. But patience does not cancel consequence, and mercy does not erase truth. I am slow to anger, yet I am never blind. I wait, but I do not lie. When I warn, it is because something is already moving beneath the surface, something that will eventually rise if left unaddressed. When you take my warning lightly, you train your heart to dull its sensitivity to my voice. The first time you ignore me, your spirit feels uneasy. The second time, the discomfort lessens. Over time, what once stirred conviction becomes background noise. This is how hearts harden, not suddenly, but gradually, through repeated dismissal of truth. A hardened heart does not stop believing in me, it simply stops listening. And when you no longer listen, you walk without guidance while believing you are still protected. I warn because I desire partnership, not puppetry. I speak so you may choose wisely, not so I may force you into obedience. But choice does not remove responsibility. When you knowingly ignore what I have revealed, you are not walking in freedom. You are choosing blindness. You are stepping out of alignment with my protection and expecting my promises to function where obedience has been abandoned. My promises are faithful, but they are not careless. They rest upon truth, wisdom, and trust. You must understand that consequences are not always punishment. Often they are exposure. When you ignore my warning, I may allow you to experience the natural result of your decisions, so that truth becomes undeniable. What you refuse to learn through instruction, you may be forced to learn through experience. This is not cruelty, it is correction. I would rather allow temporary pain than eternal loss. Still, pain that could have been avoided grieves me deeply. Do not assume that because you have ignored me before and survived, you will always do so. Survival is not the same as thriving. Escaping disaster once does not mean the danger was imaginary. It means mercy is meant to lead you to repentance, not to embolden recklessness. Each time I rescue you from what you ignored, the responsibility to listen grows greater, not smaller. There are moments when I warn because the path ahead contains harm you cannot see. There are other moments when I warn because your heart is drifting towards something that will slowly reshape you into someone you were never meant to become. Not every consequence is sudden. Some unfold quietly, altering your character, your relationships, your peace, and your ability to hear me clearly. Ignoring my warning may not immediately shatter your life, but it can slowly erode the foundation until collapse becomes inevitable. When you disregard my voice, you often replace it with your own reasoning. You weigh my words against your comfort, your desires, and your fears. You ask whether obedience is convenient rather than whether it is right. In doing so, you elevate your understanding above mine. This is where many stumble, not because they reject me outright, but because they trust themselves more than me. Yet your understanding is limited by time, emotion, and perspective. Mine is not. I warn because I see connections you do not. I see how one compromise leads to another, how one unchecked habit opens the door to greater bondage, how one unhealed wound can distort years of decisions. You see isolated moments, I see patterns. You see today, I see what today is shaping you into tomorrow. When you ignore my warning, you are not just rejecting a single instruction, you are resisting the future I am trying to protect. What may happen if you ignore my warning is not always what you expect. Sometimes it is loss of peace before a loss of stability. Sometimes it is confusion before crisis. Sometimes it is distance from me before visible trouble arises. Many fall not because they intended to rebel, but because they slowly drifted, assuming closeness would remain without effort, obedience, or humility. Distance from me always begins with neglect, not defiance. There are warnings I give to spare you from suffering, and there are warnings I give to prepare you for responsibility. Ignoring either leads to delay or derailment. When you ignore a warning meant to protect you, you invite harm. When you ignore a warning meant to mature you, you remain stuck, repeating cycles that could have been broken. Delay does not preserve destiny. It postpones fulfillment and increases frustration. I do not warn to threaten you with fear, but to anchor you in truth. Fear says destruction is inevitable. My warning says destruction is avoidable. Fear paralyzes. My warning empowers, but empowerment requires response. A warning unheeded becomes a witness against you, not because I desire to accuse, but because truth, once revealed, cannot be undone. You must also understand that ignoring my warning affects more than you. Your choices ripple outward. Your obedience creates shelter for others. Your disobedience can expose them to harm. You are connected whether you realize it or not. When you ignore me, you may be teaching others to do the same, even without words. Your life preaches constantly. What it teaches matters. There are times when ignoring my warning leads to sudden consequences, moments that shock you into awareness. There are other times when consequences arrive slowly, disguised as normal hardship, until you realize too late that much of what you are enduring was avoidable. Regret often speaks with a voice that sounds like my warning once did. Many say, "If only I had listened." I do not want that to be your testimony. I warn because I honor your freedom enough to speak before acting. I do not ambush my children with consequences without first extending wisdom. Even when judgment comes, it is preceded by invitation. To ignore that invitation is to choose the lesson the harder way. I will still be with you, but the road will be heavier, the healing longer, and the scars deeper than they needed to be. Do not assume that silence after a warning means approval. Sometimes I grow quiet because you have already heard enough to choose. Silence is not absence. It is space. What you do in that space determines much more than you realize. I do not chase you with noise. I wait with truth. When you ignore my warning, you may find doors closing that once stood open. You may feel resistance where there was once ease. You may pray and feel unheard, not because I have turned away, but because you are standing outside the alignment where my peace flows freely. Obedience is not the price of love, but it is the pathway of clarity. I warn because I desire intimacy with you, and intimacy cannot survive continual dismissal. Relationship requires trust, and trust requires listening. Each ignored warning strains that trust, not on my side, but on yours. You begin to doubt my voice, my care, and my wisdom, even while claiming faith. Faith without obedience becomes belief without power. Understand this, my child. I do not delight in consequences. I do not rejoice in correction. My heart is always toward restoration. But restoration is more costly when warning is ignored. What could have been adjusted gently must then be repaired painfully. What could have been avoided must then be endured. Do not take my warning for granted because you assume I will always intervene at the last moment. Sometimes I do. Sometimes I allow the outcome to teach what words could not. Both are acts of love, but one is far gentler than the other. Choose the gentler way while it is still available. I speak because I want you to live wisely, fully, and freely. I want you to recognize my warning not as restriction, but as protection. Not as condemnation, but as care. Not as fear, but as foresight. When you honor my warning, you honor the relationship we share. When you ignore it, you step into unnecessary struggle. Hear me now. Take my words seriously, not because you fear what might happen, but because you trust who I am. I have never warned you without reason, and I never will. Listen, respond, and live. My child, come close and receive what I am about to speak over you, for these are not empty words, nor distant wishes, but life-giving truth flowing from my heart toward yours. I am the Lord who heals you. I am the one who formed every part of you with wisdom, intention, and care, and I have not forgotten how I made you. I speak strength over your body. I release restoration into every system, every organ, every cell. Where there has been weakness, I speak renewal. Where there has been pain, inflammation, or hidden strain, I release my peace and my healing power. Nothing in you is beyond my reach, and nothing in you is invisible to me. I bless your mind with clarity and rest. I quiet the noise that has weighed you down. I lift the fog of exhaustion, anxiety, and overthinking. I restore healthy rhythms to your thoughts so that your mind may no longer war against your body, but work in harmony with it. I give you sound sleep, deep rest, and mornings filled with renewed strength. I bless your heart, both physically and spiritually. I steady its rhythm, I ease its burdens, and I release peace into its chambers. I remove what has caused heaviness, fear, or emotional strain. I replace pressure with assurance, stress with trust, and unrest with calm. You were not created to live in constant tension, and I free you from it now. I bless your immune system to function as it was designed, strong, alert, and balanced. I bless your body to resist what does not belong and to recover swiftly from what has challenged it. I command vitality to rise within you, resilience to return, and endurance to be renewed. Not the endurance of strain, but the endurance of health. I bless your breath to be full and easy. I bless your blood to flow freely and cleanly. I bless your nerves to be calm, your muscles to be relaxed, your bones to be strong. I bring alignment where there has been strain and relief where there has been pressure. I am restoring what has been worn down. I bless your emotions with stability. I lift heaviness that has settled quietly over time. I remove the weight of unspoken stress, suppressed grief, and silent fear. I remind you that you are safe in me. As your spirit finds rest, your body will follow, for I designed them to heal together. I bless you with wisdom to care for yourself without guilt. I give you discernment to recognize when to rest and courage to honor your limits. I remove the lie that says you must earn rest or prove strength through exhaustion. Your worth has never depended on how much you endure. I delight in your well-being. I bless your days with balance. I bless your nights with restoration. I bless your future with longevity, vitality, and peace. I extend your strength into the years ahead, and I align your body with the purpose I have for you. You will not be cut short. You will not be diminished by neglect. You will walk forward with renewed life. I bless you with a deep awareness of my presence as your healer. When discomfort tries to speak louder than truth, my peace will answer it. When fear tries to predict illness, my promise will silence it. I am with you, sustaining you, restoring you, and guarding your health. Receive this blessing now. Let it settle into you. Let it take root. I am breathing life into you, and my life brings healing, wholeness, and peace. You are held, you are cared for, and you are being restored. Amen.